Once I went with my hockey team to a sports camp for 14 days. I was probably about 12 years old at the time. The camp was in a boarding house in the Moscow region. The room where I was settled was on the 4th floor. From the window I could see a large and clean field. Under the window, about 30 meters from the building where we lived, there was an iron fence, which was the border of the boarding house. In the room we lived in threes with 2 of my buddies. My bed was just next to the only window in the room. We were up at 7:30 in the morning. There was no exercise on the first morning of camp. When I woke up, I stared out the window for about 5 minutes. There wasn't much to see, but I noticed a strange silhouette in the field. It was far away, and I could not see it well, but I thought it was a man. Immediately a thought came to my mind. Who could it be that could go to the field at such an early hour? The silhouette stood still, unmoving. I looked at it for a while and started to do my business. I washed my face, got dressed, chatted with my friends and went to breakfast. After breakfast, I went back to my room. Practice was going to start soon. My roommate asked me to wait while he got dressed. I thought about it and looked out the window. I remembered that man in the field. He was still standing there, even though it had been 3 hours. I thought he was still standing in the same place. I thought, no, it's not a man, it's more like a pole or something. He wasn't there yesterday, though. My friend had already gotten dressed and we went to practice. In the evening, this silhouette stood in the same place. And finally convinced that it was a pole or something like a scarecrow. But still something in him I did not like. 3 days passed, and every time I looked out of the window, I saw this silhouette. Even though I couldn't make out what it was, it looked too much like a man standing still. One guy in our room had binoculars. He took them to watch the girls. I told him about the silhouette. He listened, and he said it was probably a pole or a scarecrow. Someone had put it in the middle of the field. But he gave me binoculars anyway, and we went to look. The binoculars turned out to be toy binoculars. The image was fuzzy and blurry. But when I looked at the creature through the binoculars, I was horrified. I still couldn't get a good look at it, but it was clearly visible that its hand was moving. He appeared to be stroking it over his head. I was able to make out his arms and legs. He was wearing black clothes, no face was visible. I got really scared. It turns out there was some man standing in the field all the time, and apparently looking in our direction. A little time passed. Soon the whole team became aware of this silhouette and started watching him too. Whenever we looked out, he was always standing still and looking in our direction. I even looked through my binoculars once at night and was able to make him out. In the field we wanted to go out and approach him, but we were strictly forbidden to go outside the territory of the boarding house. Life went on as usual. We ate and slept, trained, socialized. But that creature was still standing there. Toward the end of the training camp, we told our cleaning lady about this situation, and she promised to go and see who was standing there. But we haven't seen the cleaning lady since. No, I don't mean that something happened to her. She was probably just busy or her work days were over. At least I wanted to believe that. Finally, on the last day, curiosity won out. We spit on the coach's ban and went into the field. But after climbing over the fence outside the camp, we saw only a clear field, and no one was there. The silhouette man, who was constantly standing in the field, brought nothing. The silhouette man had disappeared. Before we left the boarding house, though, we could definitely see from the window that he was standing there. When we got back to the room, I looked out the window and the silhouette was there again. "Screw him!" shouted I. My friends were puzzled, and they agreed with me. But that wasn't all. By evening we had to leave. We all packed our things. Dan, my friend, kept his bag on the closet in the room. When he removed his bag, the washer that was lying on the closet fell behind the closet. We moved it and discovered a sign on the wall that read, "Can you see it in the field too?" Signed July 23, 2001. I, then, to be honest, almost fainted. I was so scared I couldn't even go near the window. My roommates were apparently shocked too. Soon I came to my senses and wrote with a marker on the wall, "Yes, we see, July 20th, 2008.